If you'd like to, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I post every Wednesday.
Hey everyone, my name is Catherine and welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite and most commonly used travel websites and travel apps that I use for various things such as booking airlines, booking fun activities, researching what I want to do, booking accommodations, and so much more. So let's get straight into it. I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss any websites or apps, so I have them written below, and that's where I will be looking to let you all know what apps and websites I like to use. So starting off with Airfare, this is probably one of the biggest expenses, if not the biggest expense when it will come to booking your trip. And I always like to use Skyscanner. Skyscanner offers very good prices generally. And what Skyscanner does is it will go through and you'll put in your specific dates, or if you're more flexible and you're open to the whole month, or even if you're flexible with your location, you're really able to search so many different ways and be down to the specifics of every detail of your flight. Or if you're just super flexible and want to go somewhere and just want to go on the cheapest flight available, you can do that as well, and it'll scour the internet across many different websites to find you the cheapest deals. For example, I recently booked a trip to DC. I live in Seattle. Flying from the West Coast to the East Coast and back again can get quite expensive, and I've definitely heard many times about friends of mine who are from here and have lived in DC or other parts of the East Coast having to pay for flights that are upwards towards nearly $1,000. And of course, this depends on when you're flying and so many different circumstances. But for me, I was able to get my flights for about $350 round trip, which I think is pretty good for a cross-country flight round trip, and it is direct. Next, with accommodation, if I'm booking my own accommodation, I really like to go onto hostelworld.com. Hostelworld is a great website to be able to book hostels, or even sometimes hotels or single room hostels if you're not feeling the whole sharing accommodations with strangers type of a vibe. I've booked many times on hostelworld.com and have always had really good luck. They're very flexible typically with cancellation policies and all of that. And again, it has the flexibility option if you want to just see hostels anywhere and everywhere, or you want to go to a specific location but are flexible in the dates, or things like that. And I really do love Hostelworld. I am not as big of a fan of hostels now as I once was, just because I am in my late 20s and I've done the whole hostel thing many times. But again, they do have single rooms available. Sometimes they have like cheaper hotels on there as well. Or if you're traveling with a bunch of people and you're willing to share a room with all your friends, say there's you and 3 other people, there are oftentimes 4-person rooms, and you might be able to snag one of those rooms for you and all your friends. Another great place to book hotels is just booking.com. That is another great option that I have used as well. Not as much as Hostelworld, but I have definitely used it and have had good luck as well. Now, one new website that I've recently found out about through another network/website that I will mention later on in this video, and I'm very interested to try this out in the future, and it makes me really excited. This website is called Trusted House Sitters. I'm actually going to a virtual event about a woman that is living full-time, not paying for accommodations, and is just booking these houses and living out of them for free, and doesn't have to pay for rent, and is just traveling the world doing this. So how she's able to do this is you first off have to be a pet lover, which I am very much a pet lover. I love animals so much. And what you basically do is you go into someone's house and you take care of their pets, and in exchange for taking care of their pets, you get free accommodation. You do not earn money. This is not like Rover or some of the other websites where you actually can walk dogs or stay at people's houses and take care of their pets in exchange for being paid. Trusted House Sitters is more, the concept is more of being able to travel the world, and there's different homes that are in need of someone to take care of their pets, and you can book it ahead of time and get a free accommodation, which is great when you think about it. Sometimes, depending on the pet, the care is pretty straightforward, or if you don't want to deal with, say, walking dogs, you can find a house that has cats. I think this is such a cool idea. That way, when you need someone to take care of your pets, and I think on the side of the person that has the pets, they pay a monthly fee and it's only like $10 or something like that. And then they don't have to pay these crazy prices for their pets to stay at a boarding place or whatever it may be, because I've done that in the past. It's always stressed my dog out, and they're expensive. They can get somebody to take care of their pets for virtually free, and their pets can stay home, which pets really do love their routine and they don't have to be stressed out and going into a boarding place. And then the person taking care of your pets, which would be like me or you who wants to travel, gets to have a free accommodation, and oftentimes this is an entire home to yourself, which is pretty incredible, and you get your share of just pet love. And I, again, have not done this, but I'm looking into it. You just have to pay a $10 fee. And I'm sure there's background checks and whatnot involved just because you're taking care of somebody's pet in the comfort of their own home. So obviously these pet owners want people to be vetted and to know that their animals are safe and in good hands. Now for more like tours and agencies and network websites, I recently became a part of the Nomadic Network, which is actually how I found out about the Trusted House Sitters website in general. And they have events going on all the time, whether they're virtual or in person. There was one recently actually in the Seattle area. It just happened to be on my birthday and I had plans to go out with family and family friends on my birthday, but otherwise I would have gone, and I hope to go in the future. But they have so many events all the time, and I've already gone to a few. I've learned a lot. And I just think it's a great resource for people who are into travel creatives, or just not even creatives, just in general. There's one coming up about just the safety of travel in general, which is great. Another one is Interpred Travel. They have a lot of really great small group tours. A lot of them are just really focused on being sustainable and leaving a small environmental footprint behind. I've not done a Interpred Travel trip before, but I'm very open to it and think it's a really great company in what they stand for. Other small group travel websites, I am a big fan of them. I talk about them all the time, but one is EF Ultimate Break. They do specifically young adult group travel trips, but they also have other categories, you could say, like the Go Ahead Tours, which is all ages, and they have some other ones which are younger for before college. But the EF Ultimate Break trip falls into my age category, which is between 18 to 35. I really love them and highly recommend you check them out. I have a code for you down below if you want to use it. And honestly, I love them so much. I'm going to travel with them in May and June, so highly recommend. Other group travel websites that I really like is Top Deck as well as Kentucky. I've traveled with both of these places as well, and I suggest if you want to go to a certain destination to just look at all these different group travel websites and see which itinerary you like the most, and maybe price points will vary as well and things like that, and choose for yourself. Another website is Get Your Guide, and this is a website that has a lot of different excursions and tours that you can book when you're in your destination. I was looking on this website for my upcoming South Korea trip. I'm going to have a few days in between the South Korea trip that I have with EF and the Japan one with EF that are open to me, and I'm not going to be on any specific tour. So I'm looking into some day excursions to be able to do myself while in South Korea, and I've been utilizing Get My Guide, which has been a really great resource. The next one might be a given, or should I say the next two, but just to reiterate, Google Maps and Google Translate are definitely ones that I use all the time. Google Maps I use probably almost daily or maybe every couple of days while at home, and definitely when I am abroad as well, or just traveling within the US. Highly recommend Google Maps to be able to know if you're taking the transit or getting from place to place and you obviously don't know the area very well because you're a foreigner and traveling there. Highly recommend you download that and see if there's any way to maybe download some maps that are not reliant on data or Wi-Fi or anything like that as well, along with Google Translate. I haven't used this as much just because I haven't been doing as much travel outside the US lately, but I have it downloaded and I plan to use it when I go abroad to South Korea and Japan, because I do not know Korean or Japanese, and I think it'll be very useful. The next app I want to recommend is one that might be a little surprising, but it is TikTok, and that is because I have been recently going onto TikTok for travel inspiration and for things to do in whatever country you're going to. I think it's really common to say if you're going to Seoul, South Korea, to just Google things to do in Seoul, South Korea, and it's going to give you the top 10 probably great, things to do for a reason, but it's just going to be the most generic common things like museums, palaces, whatever it may be. But on TikTok, you're able to see more of the maybe local or hidden, or even like things that younger people are doing that aren't just like the typical things that have been like top 10 for many years to do in said country. And it's also a great place to find food recommendations or just not as like common of things to do. For example, in South Korea, they have this thing where you can go and get a color consultation where these girls will just have these swatches of different colors that will lay across you, and they'll like pull up the different swatches and see what matches your skin tone and your hair and everything. And I would have never found that on Google if I just searched Seoul, South Korea, things to do. And I just think that's such a unique thing that I don't think is anywhere in the US. I could be wrong, but I've never heard of that. I know Korea is very into skincare and all of that, so it makes sense, but it was like, wow, that's such an interesting concept and something that'd be quite fun to do. And the last app I wanted to mention is Airbnb. Obviously, there's Airbnb for accommodations if you don't want to stay at a hostel and you want to get a local place to stay at. I use Airbnb pretty frequently, but more often I've been into Airbnb for the experiences. I think it is such a cool concept to be able to see what local people are offering there, because there are the bigger, more common, well-known, have been around for a while tours that you might see on places like Get Your Guide, for example. But if you want something more unique, then I would try out Airbnb experiences. But I think that is a really cool place to go to for tours. I recently did a llama trekking and feeding and hanging out with llamas trip locally here in Washington for my birthday, which I would have never been able to find any other way, I believe. Or I'm going to Hawaii pretty soon, and I was able to find a parrot sanctuary tour, which I think is really cool. Again, a lot of animal related things is what I like to do. I just really recommend it, and to see what things are going on near you, which is a fun way to switch up your weekends or whenever you're free and daily routine wherever you are currently living. And then also when you're traveling, and see what things are offered at the destinations that you're going to. Those have been my top recommendations of things I go to, whether it's for accommodations, flights, things to do, networking, travel events, and whatnot. So I hope it has given you some insight. I'm sure there's other ones as well that I have not thought of off the top of my head, but those are generally the most common ones that I go through and recommend. So I hope these are helpful to you, and I hope you have a great day or night whenever you're seeing this. Bye!